on The Source.
Good evening, this is Dr. Curry.
Shané Darby.
And welcome to The Source. Today, Shané, we don't have our other co-hosts with us. Y'all having vacation like you were doing all summer. But we just have a few things we want to just remind everyone of and share some of the news that has been going on. We always open up our segments by sharing the shootings that are happening in our city and around our city. And just like it has been in the last couple of weeks, we've had two shootings, one in the city, one outside of the city, and we had also a prisoner who was found dead in his cell. And I want to start off by talking about the shooting that we had where one gentleman was left critical. He was 25 years old, and it happened during the 700 block of Vanderbilt Avenue. Did you hear anything about that at all, Shané?
No, I haven't. Not until we were prepping for the show. And that's like a problem. They don't, like, even as a council person, it's not like a something sent to us, an alert or anything. We just don't know. Usually I don't know unless, because I'm from the community, like, oh yeah, what's it called, I got shot, or when I come on places like this.
I often wonder, why is it that it is such a secret when we have violence to the level that we do, and you saying you're a council person and you don't even know. I find out because I read a lot, but the question is why is it that it's a hidden thing? I mean, if our streets are not safe, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed, because sometimes the community can give us some pointers on how we can make it better.
Yeah, I think it's really, I know in the past, our old police chief just did not want to do more like press release. In other cities when shootings happen, there's like a whole conversation about it. They said that they were not interested in doing it. So I really think it's the type of administration you have and how vocal or how outspoken they want to be or transparent they want to be about shootings happening here in the city. Yeah. But they want to, I guess, curve the narrative of Wilmington being a violent city. So suppressing this information then doesn't let it come to the surface, because they need to fill up those homes down at the riverfront and downtown, right?
Yeah.
So would I come here if there's a whole bunch of shootings?
Absolutely. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm hoping is that, those of you who watch us every week, that you will please pay attention to the fact that we are having people who loved ones are being shot. Thankfully, this person was just critically shot. He did not perish in his in this shooting, but it was on the 700 block of South Vanderbilt Avenue, and it happened. And that's another thing that continues to bother me. It happened at 8 o'clock in the evening. It didn't happen like 3 in the morning. This stuff is happening still while it's early. And are our streets safe? The answer is absolutely not. But as we've been crying and asking, when are we going to get a plan so that we can see what is being done to try to curtail some of the shootings that have occurred? And it seems like everything is reactive instead of being proactive. It just seems like everything is reactive. But we're going to let it be what it is. But we're going to make sure we stay committed to sharing with you every time there is a shooting in our community, so that you will be able to assess for yourself. We're not really concerned about what the outsiders feel. I mean, if it's not safe, it's not safe. If it's safe, it's safe. But we want it to be safe, because every time a person is shot, it affects the loved ones of those who the victim is. Another issue that happened was in Claymont. On Wednesday morning, this person was a 32-year-old male. He was shot, and if it wasn't for somebody there to help suppress some of the blood, that was oozing from him, he would have certainly perished as well. But again, his name was Goodchild. And he was from not Goodchild. I'm sorry, I had it confusing. I apologize for that. But he was 32-year-old male, and he was shot in the on Colby Avenue in the Claymont Knollwood development.
Yeah.
So I didn't know exactly. I just want to make sure I bring that up. But was there anything you want to share?
Yeah, so no, I found out about Knollwood in the last year. I didn't know that there was this community called Knollwood in Claymont area.
Okay.
So it was pretty new to me, and they have a lot of the same issues. It's a very small community, and they have some of the same exact issues as the city of Wilmington. Newcastle County, I know for a fact, they're pumping a lot of money into this neighborhood in regards to because I was going to do some stuff with Black Mothers in Power there around maternal care, but they're doing stuff around gun violence and pumping in ARPA funds to really uplift this neighborhood. But other than that, I really don't know much about it.
Do you know?
It's not far. Like Claymont isn't far.
Right.
So Knollwood, I haven't really been in Knollwood, but when someone said there's money for Knollwood, I'm like, what is that?
Okay.
Where is that? And I looked on a map, and it's a very small neighborhood, but they have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
A lot of drug issues too.
Okay. Well, if anybody watching, since we do reach out through Newcastle County, we just want to let you know that there was a shooting on Wednesday at 3:14 in the morning on the in that development. Last but certainly not least for this segment, I want to talk a little bit about the inmate that was found dead in his cell on Monday. It's really interesting, but it was over at Howard Young. I don't know what to say about it. I read what they said. His name was Goodchild of Wilmington, and he was arrested on September 28th, but then he was found dead on October the 2nd. I don't know what to make of that because they don't give you much information.
They would never. Why would they, right? Yeah. So I wonder if there were any complaints or medical issues that he probably was reporting beforehand, the conditions that they're in there, how they were holding him, all of those conversations we really can't have because they're not going to display it unless somebody comes out and gives us some information. But other than that, it's the clear for me. I think there's a lot of reform that needs to happen just for prisons here in the state of Delaware.
Yeah, I've heard you speak of that.
Yep, just here in Delaware, we need to do that. But they don't give much at all.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that is interesting about the reform is that when a person goes for intake, I guess I don't know the answers to this, but do they give them a health appraisal so that they'll be able to know whether or not they are suffering from heart issues, they are suffering from asthma, they're suffering from allergies or something that can cause their death? Because for him to only be there it looks like about 5 days and then he's dead. They said it was unattended, and the guard found him just unresponsive. But is that it? I mean, you can die of natural causes. Don't misunderstand that.
Yeah,
but the problem is, if this is the case, then what was the intake? Did he have any prior issues? And I think these are the type of questions we need to ask because our loved ones are the ones who often find themselves in these prisons.
Yeah, and even beyond, let's say, I think they do the medical because I think they check off their list that they did it. But then for me, it's the care after. Do they really care? A lot of people who are incarcerated are not cared about. They look at them as just you're just another criminal. So they get mistreated a lot within the prison system. And then we know that our 13th Amendment, it outlawed slavery, but it said except for when you commit a crime, right? So now they're slaves to the system. So what do we care about treating them right? They don't have rights.
Which is really sad. And they should have rights because according to the country that I think I live in, a man is innocent until proven guilty. Now, they said that he violated a probation. It was a probation violation while he was put back in jail.
And they say nothing about what the type of crime or anything?
Well, they did say that for robbery, he allegedly robbed someone. And he violated his probation, so they picked him up on the 28th of September, and then he was found dead on the October the 2nd. So I just don't understand the interworks, but I agree with you 100% that we do need to have some reform as it relates to the prison system, especially since they are overpopulated with Black and brown people.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do is I'm looking forward to this after later on in the show. I'm looking forward. You have Our brother Roberto is coming, and did I say his name right?
Yep, Roberto.
Because I'm
yep.
always messing up names.
Yeah, Roberto.
He's coming on the show and from Black Men Build, and you talked about a couple of weeks ago, and I said you need to invite him, and you jumped right on it. And I'm looking forward to the conversation that you all going to have, as it's doing some very powerful and impactful things. Just reintroduce to the community what his program is about and why you so desperately want him here in Wilmington.
Yes, he has to come to Wilmington, y'all. And they've been here for about a few months holding men's circles. So really talking and bringing Black men together to talk about healing, trauma, how to move forward, and how do you find solutions in our communities to some of the problems that we're plagued with. But Black Men Build is a national organization focused on organizing Black men. We need that.
We need it.
We need it more. Like, I need y'all to get it together. Okay.
Oh, you need us to get together.
Yes.
She need us to get it
we
together.
is tired out here.
We're going to do something. Our Black women being organized, because we Black men need you women to get it together. But in all seriousness, I agree with you in that a lot of the ills that we find in our community, we find is the result of our Black men now appropriately are appropriating their energy, their strength, who they are. And I'm looking forward to hearing some of the things that they're doing with the program and some of the things that, because it's already happening. He's did a couple
men's circles here. Yeah, so it's already happening. We're going to keep it moving, and hopefully it expands, because in other cities and chapters they have like clinics and programs and boxing classes for the community. So I'm hoping that as they build their membership up, that we can do things like that with Black men leading the cause. Yeah,
I had an opportunity to meet him before we started our show today, and I was very impressed with some of the things that he talked about or going to talk about with you on what they do, but one of the things I didn't get a chance to ask him, but I'm sure we can see if you could ask him, and that is, how do we get Black men to be interested? And I'm gonna bring him on the Coffee with Curry show so that I can ask the questions I have. But how do we get Black men to be interested in doing this? Because all too often, Black men know we know what we know, and what we know is what's right, and therefore to be poured into sometimes is very, very difficult. So I'm hoping that with the advertisement that you all going to do with the conversation you're ready to have, we can try to find a way to get Black men interested in this whole healing process, because we've experienced some trauma. I don't blame the victim, because the system that the victim is in did not support him or her.
I agree.
To a place where they can go to healing. And whenever you can find nonprofits to do the work that he does and others you do with the women, I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So we're going to look forward to that conversation. I hope you will stay tuned, because as soon as we get an opportunity, we're going to go to not Shané, Jesus, I keep doing that to you, but we're going to go to Shané's corner and we're going to and after we come back, we're going to go there, and then we're going to make sure that we get an opportunity to have a conversation with Brother Roberto. I won't be on that segment because she kicked me off, but I will definitely make sure that y'all get some information, and I hope it's going to be good. We'll be right back.
Tune in at 8 a.m. every Sunday for our worship services. Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church. We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
And we're back. Well, again, let's hear what's going on with Shané Scoop. You was gone last week.
Yes.
What were you doing last week, by the way, before we get into your scoop?
So that's fees and fines. So the city of Wilmington probably last year, March, got accepted to a national program to talk about and evaluate our fees and fines system here in the city of Wilmington. We got a grant for about, I think it was like $50,000 grant that we received for being a part of that program, and it's kind of wrapping up now. So they had a closing convening conference with all of the cities who were a part of it. So someone from like Kansas City, Philadelphia was there. I can't even think of the other cities, but they were from all over the country. We came together in Philadelphia to kind of talk about what the work that everyone, San Francisco, the work that everyone was doing to do reform around fees and fines.
Okay.
So specifically for the city of Wilmington, we looked at water billing and parking. So that's the fight that we're in now. So we kind of just explain like where we are, what we want to do, bounced ideas. And I want to say is that people were like, I'm sorry that you're in city. Like we're explaining like the issues we're having, even the structure, like forget just the people for a second, just the structure of how our government is set up here in the city of Wilmington. People were like in disbelief. Like they were like, your mayor has too much power. The executive branch has too much power. So it was like very eye-opening.
Name some of the cities that were there again.
Kansas City, San Francisco was there, Philadelphia was
that's
there,
what I was here.
and some other ones I can't think. Miami Dade was there, that county. So it was cities and counties too, who were there. So it was a very eye-opening experience. I love being able to hear what other cities are doing and how they're operating and their structure.
That's a true scholar.
Yeah, so it makes me think about like how we are, but I think about some of the great things that are happening in other cities. I just don't know if the people are ready, meaning council people are willing, because the council has the power to change it. Are we really going to do it?
Yeah, but one of the things I was trying to encourage you a couple of months ago when you were getting very distraught with some of the fake, phony folks that you have been around or who have been near your life, where you was getting to a place where you say you're done and you don't want to do it anymore, is that's the ploy that most people have, and that is to discourage people like you who want to see change, who believe in change, but yet you keep running into these roadblocks. You're doing the right thing. You went out, you got the research, you see what we could do. Now it's time to present some of that stuff, and if it doesn't work, you plant the seed.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
At some point,
I'm gonna plant the seed.
It'll start doing what it needs to do.
I'm gonna plant the seed, and that also kind of leads into like some other things I want to talk about today. So I know for council, I have 2 resolutions coming up to change some of how city council operates. So when I talk about the structure, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So we have agendas, right? And agendas are posted 7 days ahead of time. However, what happens is when city council agendas are posted, they don't have to have the legislation ready. So they can post the agenda and say, we have legislation on here to raise parking tickets to $50. And they'll put it on the agenda. And sometimes it's not available until the day of or an hour before city council. So then I'm getting an email 15 minutes before council meetings start. Here's the legislation for tonight.
That's a ploy.
That is a tactic to make city council weak. And for us, and we already know half of them not reading. Right? Let's just keep it 100. They don't read the legislation until they get there. But then I also understand, even though that the people don't read, the structure and the processes we have doesn't allow for city council who want to read and be prepared to be prepared. And it doesn't allow the community, because they always talk about, the community doesn't participate. Y'all are not posting the legislation until the last minute. I'll get community people who will contact me and say, hey, the agenda posted, where is this legislation? Then I'm texting, emailing staff, where's the legislation? Oh, we don't have it ready yet.
Wow.
How do you be an effective city council without having that? That does not happen in other jurisdictions.
So you got to change it.
Yeah, so I put up a resolution to change it tonight. At the next council meeting. So what's going to happen is that's going to come up. We're going to see how people feel about that. So for me, it's like on a state level, there's no way you can ever go to a committee meeting and post it to the agenda without having it to be ready for review.
Just so we won't get so much commentary from us. It's time to call some things to action. And if you think about what Shané just shared, it's just not professional. It does not give people an opportunity to be able to see what's going on and vote not with their emotions, but with their intellectual curiosity. I am concerned always, and I hope every person who's watching us, especially our seniors who vote for people who continuously get into office, they just vote because it's popular to vote for it, but don't know the details of it. I agree with you. That piece of legislation, we're going to watch to see it. I want you to bring back to the show exactly who voted against making sure that legislation is completed before it's on the agenda, because I think that's
right.
the
Yeah, and it's not complete. And when I say complete, like a draft form, like something drafted so people can read, because it don't have to be complete, because we can go to committee meeting and we can make amendments and change stuff, right? So not complete in the sense of like, oh, it's time to vote and nothing can't happen to it, but something, a draft of something so we can read it 7 days prior. And then as a part-time city, I'm considered a part-time city council person, and since I get paid part-time money, I have to work a full-time. I have to work a full-time job, right? So then I'm planning my schedule out. So I know 7 days ahead I should be reading that legislation when they post it. When they don't do that and then they wait until the day of, how does that allow me to be a prepared city council person and to be able to articulate and advocate for my community? It doesn't allow for that, and that is not happening in any other part of the state. The state doesn't do it, county doesn't do it. It's not professional. It just doesn't look good. And then the second part is really public participation. So rest in peace to Councilmember Gray, Linda Gray. When she got on council in her first term, she proposed a resolution for the public to have a second time to commit to be able to make a public comment about a specific piece of legislation. So when I got on council in this term, I called them the Deadly Seven, but 7 people got together in the beginning of city council, led by Councilmember Loretta Walsh, and they got rid of public comment, the second option for people to do. They voted it out. They said, we don't want people to have public comment. They even made more restrictions. They try to say you had to be a Wilmington resident. They made all these restrictions on who can make a public comment, and then they took away the second options for people to be able to participate in our government. They took it away. That was 2020, right? Now it's 2023. We have a little bit of different council, different dynamics, and I'm hoping that they are open and willing to allow people to make that second public comment about that specific piece of legislation, right? And I think it allows for the community to really participate. People were participating in those second pieces of public comment.
I remember when they used to have council meetings and you would really feel like we've been to a meeting. Now it's like everybody just present and keep moving. We're going to vote the way we want to vote. There's no real discussion. Let's move on. Let's push everything through.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
It's all designed to make sure that the audience of one is being able to get things
right. And I bet you, and I know who's going to make this argument. They're going to say, well, people have time to come to committee meetings to make public comment, right? Committee meetings are 5 o'clock. Make it make sense. 5 o'clock. How can the majority of people participate at a committee meeting that starts at 5 o'clock? It's just not happening for most people in the community we want to participate in. At our city council meetings, they start at 6:30, which leaves a little bit more time for people to participate in the evenings if they want to participate virtually or in person. So I just think it's a disservice to have taken that out in the beginning, right? And I think it shows how we value our community's comments and their participation. And they complain, oh, the community doesn't participate, but you take out all the ways for them to participate by not posting legislation when it should be posted, right? The 7-day prior thing.
That would draw people out.
Yeah, that would draw people out.
They will see what
they will see what's on the agenda. Right. But then when you do it at the last minute, that doesn't give me time to maneuver to be able to participate, right? So those two things are going to be on the council agenda. So we'll see what happens at the city council meeting tonight. That's happening on this past Thursday. But the last thing is the mayor's race.
Oh, wow.
We had a few announcements. I don't know if we got time.
Go ahead.
But I could just say really quick. So we know Mayor Mike Przicki, good riddance. He said he is not running for his 3rd term. So there's a 3-term limit for the mayor in the city of Wilmington. Yeah. He will not be running due to age. He is 78 years old. Let him go home and rest. It's an age factor. It is over.
To
it's
all my
done.
seniors,
Put it up.
This is her talking. This is not me talking. I love seniors to continue to work.
Listen.
Work you want to stop working. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I love the seniors too. I love y'all. I got senior ball tickets and tables for y'all. I love my seniors. Okay. All right, but he could go put it up. It's time to put it up, Mayor Mike Przicki. It's the end of a dictatorship. It has been a dictatorship the last 8 years being with Mayor Mike Przicki, and being a council person. I have been suppressed. I have been shunned out and excluded because of Mayor Mike Przicki, right? So I am happy to see him go. And then we have a soft announcement by Governor John Carney, who wants to run for mayor. Why would you go from governor to mayor?
Well, I happened on my way to the show today. I saw that. Now, I have no problem with the governor, the current governor. But let's be realistic. That you spoke of Bezicki being a dictator. You said that. I didn't say that.
He is a dictator.
But doesn't that smell like he's dictating who's going to be the next mayor?
Yes, he is. And this is about establishing and keeping power and controlling it.
Yeah.
John Carney does not need to be the next mayor of the city. I am saying that openly, and I'm saying that with conviction. Okay. He does not need to be the next mayor for the city of Wilmington. Do we want to continue the legacy of what's been here?
No, but what does that say? What does that say, those of you who are watching us? What does it say when a current mayor is saying, I'm not going to run anymore? We have one candidate who have already announced. I have not endorsed anyone yet, but she's announced, Velda Poller, I believe, and who has worked in the trenches, who understand city government, who clearly, when she was the treasurer, did great gains for the city of Wilmington. It sounds like I'm endorsing her, but I'm just being straight. And then you have a governor who done some good things, but in the trenches of the city government may not have the legislative experience or administrative experience. What does that say? Popularity is not fair. But all I can say is it's going to be interesting, because I don't think Velda is going to back down.
Oh, no, she's not. And she does not need to back down. We're here. We are here. John Carney does not need to run for office. He needs to go sit with Mayor Mike Bezicki. They need to go drink some tea on their little porch they got, and go ahead or go to y'all beach houses. Go enjoy y'all life. Oh, wow. Enjoy the rest of it. It's okay. Sit down.
You're gonna get everybody in trouble, but I'm gonna be straight with you. I just have some serious trepidations, and Kobe will be back next week, and we're going to have. This is going to be one of the conversations that we're going to have.
Yeah, we're going to continue.
We're going to talk about the mayor's race. We're going to talk about the governor's race. We're going to talk about the lieutenant governor. Matter of fact, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back, and we're going to talk about a couple more races, and then we'll be right back.
New guests, new conversations, new stories. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Grab your cup of coffee and tune in with Dr. Curry for weekly episodes of Coffee with Curry.
And we're back. Well, we stopped in the middle of talking about the mayor's race.
Yeah.
We're going to pick that up later on. But I want to talk a little bit for just a minute on the lieutenant governor's race. Now, there is an interesting battle going on here. We have three candidates running, two African Americans, one a woman, one a male. The male ran before and lost horribly to Bethany. Then we have Sherry, who I think is really good. She and I have not endorsed her yet, neither.
I did.
You did?
Yeah,
you did?
I'm
well,
Sherry.
We're not biased. I might endorse somebody else. I don't know yet. But anyway, all real deal, Sherry is my girl. She's my favorite, my number one state senator. So
state rep, actually.
I mean, I said senator.
Yeah, you did.
So I'm all messed up. but the point is, my point I'm trying to make is that I watched the details of what the lieutenant governor is for, and to be in charge of the Senate and to make sure that the board of pardons is handled or chaired over that. You know, Sherry was on the board of paroles. She was able to serve and make the recommendations for people, so she has some experience in there. She has some legislative experience as well. And I'm just really it's going to be interesting to see how it all fares out. Next week when Kobe comes back, we're going to really talk about, we're going to make this a big part of our segment.
Yeah,
so we can really talk about it. Because at the end of the day, it's just some things are happening. And I think community, you got to pay attention, because the hidden hand is what always is at work. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to be in a hurry and end up missing it and losing out on what we really need for, especially the city of Wilmington. We talk about the violence, we talk about the crime and the various things that happen in the city, but we got to make sure our representation is real, and we got to make sure it's right. And the same with the governor.
Yeah.
Not the governor, but the governor candidate.
Race, yeah.
You know, Bethany Hall Long. What's going on with the husband? Do you know anything about this?
So I got the tea. So I go to a local mailbox store, and the guy there always talks politics when I go there. So that's how I found out. He was like, "Have you heard about Lieutenant Governor Bethany Longhorn?" I'm like, "No." So he gave me the tea that the husband was spending her campaign money.
Oh my! Allegedly. Let's use that word. Okay. Yeah.
Allegedly was using her campaign money, and this has not been the first time.
Oh.
So there's some issues and discrepancies around funding and how the money is being spent. So I don't think it's necessarily her. It's her husband. He got to go too.
But
he got to go with Mayor Mike
Stop. That's your problem. Now, if that was me, the pastor of the church here, saying that my wife did something, y'all was like, man up.
No.
If you in charge, you are the one responsible for the campaign. But I'm really shocked. But I'm hearing that a lot of our donors are canceling. So it must be some real
Yep,
truth to this.
her whole staff got up, left.
Two or three of her staff members left.
Yep.
So right now we have our friend brother
Matt
Myers. He's running and it's gonna be interesting. Because I know the system. If she can't run, they're gonna run somebody else against him though.
They are.
But it doesn't matter. Because Matt has proven himself to be a strong leader. I'm gonna leave it there. Next week, y'all need to tune in because I'm gonna be honest with you. If Kobe coming back, we just gonna talk, and I'm gonna stay in trouble like I always am. But I do hope and trust that you all will tune in. Now, in a few minutes, we're gonna come back, and when we come back, we got Brother Roberto who's going to come, who's a part of the Black Men Build. And I'm just impressed with what they do, the healing that they bring to the African-American community, especially to the male population, because again, the Bible speaks in the book of Genesis that the enemy is against anyone who pisses against the wall. I know that this sounds kind of harsh, but that is in the Bible. And that simply means the male. The male is always under attack. And for the male for us to find ways to bring healing and wholeness to men, especially African-American males, I am very much with it. So I'm looking forward to this interview that you get ready to do with him. And I hope and trust that y'all stay tuned and let's see what they're going to talk about. We'll be right back.
Join us at 9 a.m. on Facebook Live every Sunday by typing Zion Fair Baptist Church.
Jesus felt what you're feeling, but he did not sin. Am I in the word? Have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin.
We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
The Delaware Mortgage Relief Program can help homeowners in need. Created by the Delaware State Housing Authority, this grant program provides each eligible household with up to $50,000 in mortgage relief assistance. This money can be used for future or delinquent mortgage payments, property taxes, homeowners association fees, or insurance fees. Funding is limited. Apply today. Visit online or call 888-303-4324 for more information about the Delaware Mortgage Relief Program.
And welcome back. This is a special report by Shané Darby. Today we have Roberto Rickards. He's a national organizer for Black Men Build. And a few weeks ago, I talked about Black Men Build and the men's circles that they were bringing here to the city of Wilmington. But he's also a part of the Malcolm X grassroots movement and is involved with multiple community organizations nationwide. He's committed to the upliftment of Black families and empowering Black men and boys to take active and responsible roles within our community. Now that's a powerful message, right? And I think that's something that is needed in our community. But before we dive into Black Men Build and talk about the status of Black men here in America today, let's talk about you. Who are you? How did you get involved in this work? I just want to learn more about you.
Okay, great. Thank you for the question. Thank you for having me. Really happy to be here. I've been in nonprofits for over 14, 15 years as a trainer, as a facilitator, working with foster parents who want to work with youth. And so I taught them about trauma-informed care, understanding behavior, not getting upset with the behaviors that they were seeing, connecting that to the youth's trauma history. And so I was also always a part of the community, always a part of trying to help our communities heal in certain ways. But in a formal capacity, I was like, man, I need to do more. We need to be organized. We need unity. So working in nonprofits just didn't feel like it was the solution. And then even in nonprofits, it was kind of like, that's putting a Band-Aid on a systemic issue.
Right.
And so I really wanted to be more about helping the community heal. And so I was a part of Black Men Build in 2020, just feeling like this is something that really is the vehicle, mass base building, mass mobilization, and not doing it in a way that divides us, but more brings us together. And I believe that our men healing is probably the central role of us taking our rightful place, head of the family, head of the community, in a loving way. And so that's when I jumped into a full role with Black Men Build and started to organize nationally.
Right. So how long has Black Men Build been around?
Black Men Build has only been around 3 years.
Okay, so they've been around 3 years on a national scale, right?
Yeah.
And they have multiple locations, right?
Right. We're working to build chapters or hubs in cities nationwide. Right now we're in 8 cities across the country. And then we're also building in Raleigh and Baltimore and Camden, South Jersey. And we're just touching ground in Wilmington with the circle and hoping that grows. And then we start to move out into how we can serve the community and fill voids that the community needs and community members are asking for.
Can you give some examples of like what other chapters are doing? Because I remember we were talking about, I think it was Miami.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll take a trip. I'll go to Miami and go visit the chapter, for business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know they were doing some really cool things there. So what are they doing in the chapter in Miami?
Absolutely. So Miami, they work with other community organizations. They have a free health clinic. So they provide free health care to the community members. I believe it's Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays every weekend. They have a free community fridge, right, where people come and donate food. Community members and also Black Men Build members bring food. So, if your money's low or if you just don't have it, there's a resource for you. Clothing giveaway, clothing drives. I guess they call it a community closet. So again, if you need clothing for your children or your family or whoever it may be, they know that's a resource. They do boxing classes. They have about 11 programs that they offer monthly.
Wow.
Haircuts to the community, boxing classes, music classes. And so really a thriving hub of between 75 to 100 Black men who, chess club, who just really bring resources to the community and empowerment.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I feel like, and I don't know if you saw this like in history, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, Black men were usually the lead in a lot of organizing movements.
Sure.
And it switched to now, I feel like Black women have become in this space. So when I heard about and spoke to you about Black Men's Build, for me it was like, we need Black men who are organizing.
Yeah.
We need Black men who are taking those leadership roles to create those programs. And so listening to the needs of the communities and then creating solutions, right?
Absolutely.
We need Black men for that. Like Black women, I feel like we have been like the voice.
Absolutely.
We have been the lead on it.
Yeah.
And we is tired.
Yeah.
Okay? We are exhausted.
Yeah.
We are waiting for
Yeah.
you guys to like, as collectively as a group, because of course there's individual Black men who have stepped up, but we're talking about collectively as a group to step up, to take the lead in the community on getting some of these things done, because it's only so much that one group of people can do. Black women, we cannot do it on our own.
Absolutely.
So what I really loved about Black Men Build was that Black men coming together to organize and have come up with solutions in our community.
Yeah.
So I know we met, and how I found out about Black Men Build, we both went to a conference in Atlanta, right?
Yes.
If you want to talk about that conference a little bit and then how we connected.
Okay. It was the Black Radical Organizing Conference in Atlanta, put on by Community Movement Builders. Shout out to them.
Yes.
Was it August? July?
It was in, I feel like, was it right after Juneteenth?
Okay, it might have been July.
I think it was June.
July. It was June?
Was it June? I don't know.
We both know that.
It was sometime in the summertime.
And so that was a conference to talk about organizing for the uplift and freedom and liberation of Black people in this country. And what that means is to have full sovereignty to control our destinies, and not in our destinies and of our children, of our families, not be shaped by communities and individuals that don't put our needs as priority. And we know that this country, any city you go to, you can find a hood, quote unquote, or impoverished area. And most of those times it's Black folks like us who are in those communities and suffering what comes from that. So this conference was about solutions. This conference was about those who are already in organizing space and in organizations, the problems that they face and how to overcome those challenges, building community, networking. It was really, really a dope space to be in. We had a lot of elders who have from previous legacy organizations, like possibly the Black Panther Party, and some SNCC members, and I think what was the elder, the sister, the mother, who was a part of the Garvey movement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was a mentor to Malcolm X. So it was really great energy in the room, and it was awesome. So Miss Darby here, I heard her ask a question. She had a great question to one of the panels, and I heard her shout out Wilmington, Delaware, and I'm like,
shout out to Wilmington. I love y'all. Born and raised.
Right. So I'm like, oh wow, sister asked a dope question, and she's right down the road in Wilmington. I go back and forth from South Jersey to kind of Philadelphia. And so one of the breaks, I was like, hey, just introduce myself to say, I hear you from Wilmington. What's more about your organization? Black Mothers in Power. Mm-hmm. How can I support? What are y'all doing? And then trying to get a landscape of what organizations that men are leading the charge in the city for working class and poor. And we had a great conversation, and that led to us exchanging numbers, and then, talking about what's going on in Wilmington. And then she shout out because she was leading the charge, like, look, we need this here. We want Black Men Bill here. And I was like, let's have a meeting. So she set up a meeting. We met with some community members, and we talked about bringing a circle to Wilmington, which we do, I think, the third Tuesday of every month. This month will be October 17th.
Yep, and we'll hit it and talk about the men's circles too. Yep. And I remember meeting you, and I was like, we need this, right?
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of times, like, I have Black Mothers in Power, so I don't think on this show I really talk about Black Mothers in Power too much. But for people who don't know, I have a nonprofit called Black Mothers in Power.
Yeah.
We're hitting year 4. October is our anniversary.
Shout out.
And what we really wanted to do was address Black maternal health care in our state, right? So I know that we are going to get right back to this, and we're going to talk more about the men's circle. I'm going to give you guys more deets about Black Mothers in Power, and then we'll get back to this segment.
One time for the great Nipsey Hussle. One time for Malcolm, Martin, and Marcus. One time for all the ancestors that put their lives on the line so that we as a people may rise. To all the brothers on the front line, lifting and elevating the people in the midst of mysticism and tyranny. We recognize the conditions of our people, but we also recognize what lies beneath the surface at the root of the condition of our people. Any tree that is malnourished has not the ability to flourish. We come with the nourishment. From the likes of Larry Hoover to Bayard Rustin, from Patrice Lumumba, Muhammad Ali to the great Sam Cooke, from Demetrius Flannery to Mutulu Shakur, Black man with great ideas, visionaries that can help elevate our people for years. The sons of Harriet have returned. Black man live, Black man strive, and Black man prosper. Black man grow, Black man plot, Black man transform to meet this crazy moment and the next ones that lie ahead. Now ain't the time to back down. It's time to stand up. There is a war going on us. We need warriors. We need warriors. We need intellects. We need thinkers. We need architects. We need farmers. We need doctors. We need planners. We need lawyers. We need brothers that's willing to unite and come together for the common thread of what's right. Not for clout, not for likes, for the love of the people. You either build or destroy. Black man build, let's construct. Yes.
Welcome back to our second segment here with Roberto from Black Men Build. I know beforehand I was trying to give y'all some deets about Black Mothers in Power. That is like my baby. But that's how I went as a representative to the conference we talked about earlier, as a representative from Black Mothers in Power, which is an organization to organize Black women and Black individuals who've been impacted by Black maternal health care here in the state of Delaware. And for people who don't know, right, Black women and Black babies are 2 to 3 times more likely to die giving birth or to have high morbidity rates, meaning C-sections, interventions, any issues or complications. Black women, we have the highest rates in our babies of that in the country. Delaware is not separate from that. Right. So we have a big hospital, it's a monopoly here, Christiana Care, and a small hospital called St. Francis, which does most of our births. We are dying there too. Like, it is happening here in our own backyard. It's not something that's far away happening in California, right? Like, it's happening here, and I wanted to have that conversation and mobilize Black women and Black individuals who are impacted to have those conversations about it. And specifically too, I just want to make a point that this is not, because a lot of people ask why, right? Why, and it's why does it happen to Black women? Why are we dying at high rates?
That's a good question.
Right? So a lot of times people think it's a poor Black woman issue. It's not a poor Black woman issue. If you are a Black woman, it doesn't matter how many degrees you got. You know, Black women, we love to go to school, right? Get that master's degree or PhD and get that debt, right? So we love to go back. No, we can't degree our way out of this. We can't marry our way out of this. There is nothing you can do if you are a Black woman, despite your social economic status, any of those factors. You are 2 to 3 times more likely to die. Serena Williams, Beyonce, Shané Darby here, right? We are still faced with the same things, even though we're on different social economic statuses.
And what is the why?
The why, historical racism, right? So we know what happened with our Ma'afa, with our journey and tragedy that happened to us here in this country, and that impacted the very basis and start of the healthcare system here in America, which was on the experimentation of Black bodies. And specifically when we talk about women's health, Black women were experimented on in the name of OBGYN, right? With no pain medicine, because they believe Black women and Black people don't feel pain. So they did crazy experiments on our bodies and us, and that's when they took over. We had no agency, right? So from there, the very basis and creation of the healthcare system is founded in disparities against Black people. And when we talk about Black maternal health care, specifically Black babies and Black women. And then now Black babies were valued at one point in time. They had sex farms where they were breeding Black women to run this nation, because they stopped importing Africans here. So then they looked at Black women and said, we need y'all to start producing more, and started forcing us to produce more babies for this country. But now that we're done with slavery, they don't need our babies anymore. So it's a different attack on us from the healthcare system to make sure that we experience these disparities specifically as Black women and for our Black babies. So that has to be understood for us to understand why we're here today. Like, the legacy of slavery is so deep, and it was not that long ago, and we're feeling it today. Because they told us we can't breastfeed our babies, Black women have the lowest rate of breastfeeding in the country, right? Because of an action or a policy that took place hundreds of years ago, right? Back in the 1600s, you can't breastfeed your baby. You gotta breastfeed our babies, and you gotta work all day. Go give them goat milk or whatever milk they was drinking back in the day, right? Because there was no formula. So those things are conversations are so important. But then also I understand the importance that Black men play in this, and not even intimately, right? I'm talking about, like, I have an uncle he encouraged me to breastfeed. He was like, get that baby that liquid gold, like hyping me up, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like affirmations for me that my uncle, who I love dearly, rest in peace, he encouraged that and loved me and as a Black woman and as his niece, right? So my stepdad, Black man who supported me, great granddad to his grandkids, right? And they're not even biologically his. You would think they were, right? Like those connections are so key and important to development for Black families, is Black men in every role playing that.
Yeah.
And for Black Mothers in Power, what we did was starting every June, we go into barbershops and talk about Black maternal health care and Black men's mental health, right? So I think it's really like a time for Black men to really like, for them to do their own personal healing and trauma collectively and then individually. Like we need Black men to do that, because what we see today is homicide rates between Black men at the all-time high in almost every single city or state you can think of. It is Black men killing Black men. Right? The high rates of like sexual violence or sexual abuse towards Black women and domestic violence comes from Black men, right? So like we need y'all to do the healing so that the whole community could be well. So that's why I was like, we have to pull you into the city of Wilmington, because these are issues that I care deeply about. And I care about there's Black men in my family. I have a brother, I have an uncle, a stepdad. I have these different people around me in my community that I love. So like what, I know we had y'all had about 2 healing circles so far here in the city.
I think so too.
So like what's the importance of like Black men addressing like those traumas, the healing work that they need to do to even do organizing work? Because that's for everybody. Because in organizing work, I realized that I had to do a lot of healing myself to be able to talk about certain things or do certain things, right? So I would love for you to talk more about Black men health, the healing circles, and how that plays a role.
Thank you. I think you make some really, really great points. I appreciate that. We need to heal as a community. We've been on that journey for a long time, and the overall community as a world, as a nation, and
a lot of healing.
Right, we need a lot of healing. I think we need to heal from all the isms, right? Racism, sexism, all these ills of the nation, of the world. And one way to do that in our communities is to hold space for each other, give each other grace, and then do that. We know, as you talked about, right, the legacy of slavery and racism in this country has caused generational trauma. And so we're dealing with things as our parents or our forebearers dealt with. And we know better now. We know the importance of mental health, emotional health. And so in Black Men Build, we really focus on social emotional health and well-being. And so with that, as you said, to be in an organization means to be together and have the same values. But how do we quell infighting or deal with conflict? Having the emotional capacity, the social emotional tools. And so that's one of the ways that we build capacity, is building each other up, but also building the community up. And so that's why the circles have been integral in when we touch down in the community, to really start people in community members and men to understand the need for healing, the need for just coping skills, understanding what you've been going through. We know that when we come into a community to organize, a lot of our brothers have been justice impacted, right? Coming out of jail, they've done several years. We know the trauma that jails, further play on it, right? So justice impacted. We have former gang or street organization. So the violence that's there. So we just know that to organize in our community, you're organizing most of the time all of our brokenness, as well as our gifts and talents. And so what do we do with that? We have to fix ourselves up to be, to make healthy contributions to our cities.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I loved about Black Men Build. You talk about organizing work, you focus on the most impacted, right? And there's a lot of other organizations that are around that's focused on Black men, right? And but a lot of times I think they're mostly professional or middle to higher income
Yeah.
Black men who are participating in these organizations. And there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
We need that,
Yeah.
right? That's important. Like these fraternities that exist and
Yeah.
all these 100 Black men, the
Yeah.
walk thing, and
Yeah,
like
great.
those things are key and important,
great
right? Not
organizations.
knocking it, right?
Yeah.
But the most impact are those who don't have access to that.
Yeah.
Organizing them
Yeah.
and that Black man who's standing on the corner right now,
Yeah.
hustling drugs,
Yeah.
that is like the real organizing work and impact that we want to
Yeah.
make. And that's what drew me to Black Men Build too, because I was like, do we have an organization like this in Delaware already operating where they're focused on that specific, instead of not just focusing on them to say, hey, we're providing you food and services.
right.
Nah, like you need to do the organizing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we have a lot of organizations that will help that population,
Right.
but not really organize.
Right.
And that's what I love about Black Men Build too. But I know you were speaking earlier. So what are the dates and times for when the men's circle happened here in the city of Wilmington?
So I believe we're going to have that listed for us. And so it is the third Tuesday of every month, 7 p.m.
see. You sure it's the third Tuesday?
I believe.
Okay. I'm about to check on the website because we have it here, I believe, on the website. So, oh no, I thought it should be. It's not up here yet. But the Black Men Build, hopefully we get the flyer and everything. Oh yeah, it is. It's the third Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Yep,
And
I
it's
was right.
Yeah, you're right. It's at the Black Mother Empower Center. So we opened up a center in June, July of this summer to provide in-person services. And we want to pull in organizations like Black Men Build so that we're able to build power with them.
Yeah.
And how more powerful is it to have an organization building Black men, another organization focused on the disparities for Black women to come together and do this work.
Awesome.
Right? So I know they're at 7 p.m. So how have the circles been going? Like, what should a man expect if he comes?
Oh man, they're great. It's a safe space to be yourself. A lot of brothers who come say they've never experienced being in a space with other Black men where you don't feel like you have to keep on that armor. A lot of times we walk around as men and we have some distrust for other Black men. We have to feel like, we have to remain tough or have an exterior that lets people know we're not to be challenged, and all these things that come with manhood or perceived manhood in our community. So we say that this is a feeling and a heart space.
Yep.
This is not a ego or pride space, and so we deal with the human component, right? That we all have things that we're working on, things that we aspire to do.
Yep.
And we all have things that we maybe have traumatized us or we're still healing from. And we put that out on the forefront, that we're just here to be in space with each other, be together, be challenged, be held accountable. And so it's really, really, I encourage all brothers, if you've never been a part of anything like that, or even our sisters, if you have men in your life, to encourage them to come out, because I can guarantee you that this will be something that will resonate with them. And that's the power of it.
Well, I want to say thank you for coming on the show. I hope that this information to the city and people know more about Black Men Build. We get more Black men out to do this work.
Yeah.
Because it's important. We need y'all, right? We need y'all to be healthy, positive, doing the work out here right alongside Black women. So I want to say thank you for coming again. And
thank you.
We'll check in soon.
And we're back. Great show. Great opportunity to have a conversation with Brother Roberto. And you did a very good job with interviewing him. You did such a great job that I'm going to invite him back to the Coffee with Curry so he can sit down and take his shoes off and be a part of that conversation. You don't mind me bringing him on the Coffee with Curry?
I don't mind at all. Take him.
Because I know you won't take ownership of people so quickly and say, no, that's my candidate. But
no, not really.
But I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him. I think he's a very decent brother, and I believe that in the cause in which he has. So I hope that you all have enjoyed the time that we spent together today. We'll be back with next week's show. Until that time, see ya.
Talk soon.